I will admit I have eagerly awaited a visit such as this.
Hey guys, Brandon here, and I have a question.
You a Jesse Plemons fan? Oh, what kind of Jesse Plemons fan are you? Do you just know him from his charismatic performance as Landry Clark in Friday Night Lights?
Do you think that all human beings are capable of evil?
Or as the dead-eyed sociopathic Todd from Breaking Bad?
We know that you've been talking to the police, and that's okay. You gotta do that.
And his cowboy hat performances in The Power of the Dog and Killers of the Flower Moon.
Oh, I was sent down from Washington, D.C. to see about these murders.
Or do you just retweet the memes based on his line from Game Night?
There was a special on these tonight. 3 for 1.
3 for 1?
Yep.
How can that be profitable for Frito-Lay?
What? You don't know.
Well, I do. I'm a fan of all of the above and more, and I just really want to take a deep dive into his many performances over the years. His early stuff, what he's known for, which is a lot, and some of my personal favorites. But before we come down from Washington, D.C. to see about these Jesse Plemons roles and who's doing them, spoiler, it's Jesse Plemons. I just want to take a quick moment to thank you all again for watching these new videos we've been making. If you like what you see, please comment, subscribe, hit that notification bell, just smash it. This channel only grows with your support. Thanks again for watching. Jesse Plemons got his start as a child actor, and for the most part, I mean, he played bullies. He tried to beat up a kid in Walker, Texas Ranger. He disrupted a class in Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
Get up from there, you big scaredy cat!
And his first big film role was in Like Mike as Ox, an orphan who discovers Calvin's secret Michael Jordan shoes that make him an NBA superstar when he puts them on. This role was actually a little more nuanced, though. He's not just a bully. You sort of sympathize with him a little bit.
You ain't getting adopted. None of us are. I mean, face it, we're like dogs. Parents only want the puppies.
The real villain ends up being unhinged Crispin Glover, who runs the orphanage, and Ox ends up saving the day.
I'm not an idiot. You got that?
Can I just say, and no offense here to Mr. Plemons, but there's just something about him that has bully vibes. I don't know, maybe it's just because he reminds me of Scut Farkas, the bully from A Christmas Story. As Jesse grew into a teenager, he didn't really play bullies anymore. He played two kinds of people that bullies turn into: assholes.
Said that she passed out while you were doing it. Shut up, Dawson.
And criminals.
I'll kill you. I'll kill both of you.
Let's just say he ended up in a non-zero amount of interrogation rooms in different procedural crime dramas, claiming that he didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything.
Sure you didn't.
I didn't do anything.
Come on, tell us the truth.
It was me. I did it.
There you go. Doesn't that feel better? One outlier was his episode of Grey's Anatomy, in which, I don't know, it's like a little bit of a mask situation. Remember that movie with Eric Stoltz and he had the face? It looks like that. And he wants plastic surgery on his face, but they're also going to perform a risky surgery at the same time to remove some brain tumors.
Look, I know that you think I'm perfect just the way I am, but for once in my life, I'd like to think that someone else thought that.
Good for you, man. I hope it all works out. Whoa, he's dead. They killed him. Wow, all right. Hardcore. But Jesse's first real big break came in 2006 when he was cast as Landry Clark.
I'm thinking about starting a Christian speed metal band. In?
The nerdy, confident, philosophical best friend to the new starting quarterback. It certainly helped that this was a landmark show, praised for its accurate portrayal of the high-stakes football scene in Texas and for its realism, down to the loose way it was shot and the very natural, conversational dialogue between the characters.
Please tell me the lesson that you've learned.
Always lock the door.
When having sex with the coach's daughter.
Look, you don't need to announce it.
As soon as coach sees you, that might be the end of everything for you. I'm basically looking at a dead man walking.
Plus, all of the actors, including Jesse, were virtually unknown at the time, which helped make them seem like real people.
I realize that I'm not
anywhere close to one of the most talented players in this room. And I know it sounds stupid, but it is an honor just to stand in here with y'all.
Landry started out as a smaller comic relief character and went through pretty much what every average kid in high school experiences. Hanging out with his buddies, joining the football team, navigating romantic relationships, killing a man. Wait, what? So I never really watched this show, but just as an outside observer, apparently there was this controversial, sensationalist story arc involving Landry killing a rapist who was attacking this girl he was pursuing, Tyra, but it wasn't exactly in self-defense. And despite all this, he wants to be honest and confess to the police.
I don't need to be helped out. I need you to come back in here so I can finish telling you. I'm not gonna go anywhere. Man. I'm not. I came here to confess, and that's exactly. I'm not going home.
Still, Jesse admits that it was difficult to shift to this new storyline.
What made the show so amazing was this level of realism that it was able to achieve. And so taking this crazy storyline and trying desperately to hold on to that same level that exists in the show.
On this podcast, it's not only football, Friday Night Lights, and beyond. He reminisces with his former co-stars and addresses the difficulty in taking on this new storyline, shifting essentially from a funny best friend to a murderer.
And after I got over the shock, I had very mixed feelings about it because I was excited to see what in the world happens to Landry when he goes through something like this.
And then the weird thing is, the series just kind of continues. This all happened in season 2, and there were 5 whole seasons.
I remember begging desperately for just like some scene showing that, like, yeah, I still killed the guy.
No, but I remember seasons after when we just mess around, we'd be in the locker room. Yeah. Oh, hey, Lane, you remember when you killed that guy? Anyway, you just got away with nobody ever talks about it. Anyway, wait, what's the play?
Yeah.
Well, murderer or not, he was a beloved fan favorite of the show for all 5 seasons, and during his time on the show, he started to branch out in film roles. His performance as a fresh-faced waiter-turned-mall security guy in Observe and Report is a great early example of how his natural, matter-of-fact line delivery could be utilized in comedies.
So you should probably just get going, man. This is gonna get really weird.
His energy works against Seth Rogen's more ridiculous performance, and I love how proud he is here when he's saved the day in the end. That's a really funny, nice touch. He just doesn't know how to behave in front of a camera. He doesn't know where to put his hands. Additionally, he played Jesus. No, not that Jesus. A more fun Jesus who deals all kinds of weed to a therapist to the stars in Shrink.
No, why does it always have to be about the drugs, man?
And he played just a good old-fashioned asshole in Paul.
Why would you even... Oh, my balls!
Then right around 2012, things took a turn. He played Philip Seymour Hoffman's character's son, Val, in The Master, who isn't really sold on his father's Scientology-esque religion, The Cause.
He's making all this up as he goes along. You don't see that?
And just a side note, that's really good casting. He and Philip Seymour Hoffman, they kind of resemble each other. But even though he's sort of disillusioned with his father's religion, in an interesting turn near the end of the film, he's seen working with his father in a new headquarters in London. But Jesse's next big role, my personal favorite, was in the last season of Breaking Bad as Todd, a polite sociopath who's eager to help Walt and Jesse with their meth business.
There's a nanny cam in the living room clock. I disabled it. I just thought you should know.
At first, he just seems like a helpful dude, but after a major train heist stealing some methylamine, the gang realizes that they've been seen by a little boy. Todd makes an unthinkable decision. When Jesse was approached to play this role, he mentioned that he didn't have too much to go on.
All I had to base the character on was a tiny little breakdown that was attached to that scene that I was telling you about that I auditioned with, which said he's like fresh-faced, eager, innocuous, but with something to hide.
He admitted to having trouble finding out who Todd was. Right before shooting this pivotal scene, he asked creator Vince Gilligan to give him something that would help him with the character.
He said, like, you know when you're driving and a raccoon runs out in front of your car, and if you swerve to the right, you run into the ditch, and if you swerve to the left, you hit an oncoming car. It's like, well, what do?
You run over the raccoon.
Yeah, until the second season, that was kind of the foundation for Todd.
Happens, huh?
That is Todd in a nutshell. He's willing to do anything to continue the work and will go about it and just not be bothered by any of the messy stuff he has to do.
I don't want to talk about this.
Okay.
Take this scene where Walt calls him and informs him that he needs Todd's uncle to help kill Jesse Pinkman.
Mr. White?
Just one target, not currently in jail. Jesse Pinkman.
You got it.
And then he just sips his coffee. It's just this nonchalant, complete absence of empathy. This aspect of Todd's personality is only amplified by Jesse's unique delivery of dialogue. There's nothing flashy going on, it's just this real matter-of-fact way of speaking that can come across as endearing or absolutely terrifying.
When we leave, you're not gonna go running to those police officers out front? Yeah.
There's also this part of his character that's kind of childlike, which makes him even more unsettling. Like, he takes the spider from the kid that he shot as sort of this weird serial killer trophy. And he's all excited when Walter, in full teacher mode, praises him for his hard work. And he even has fun custom ringtones for people.
Science!
Hello?
Hey, it's Walt.
As the series progresses, yes, we're still talking about Breaking Bad. I don't care, I love the show. His uncle becomes the only game in town to make meth, and instead of killing Pinkman, they hook him up to this wire and they just force him to make meth like a slave. When Pinkman tries to escape, Todd bluntly shows him the consequences by killing a former girlfriend.
Just so you know, this isn't personal.
With her son as a potential second victim, Jesse resigns himself to this new life. And then years later in El Camino, an epilogue of Jesse's story after he escapes this hell, we get a nice long flashback sequence of Todd asking Pinkman to help him dispose of a body.
Okay, please don't, make me feel worse than I already do.
This whole part of the movie just gives us more of this weird captor-captee relationship with Todd and Pinkman.
I'm gonna do a better job of keeping you clean from now on, okay? Promise.
Jesse recalls that this whole part of the movie is just Todd pretty much having a great day. His uncle's out of town, he's taking care of business, he's on a road trip with his buddy Jesse.
I'm feeling kinda lonely too, if you don't mind. Can I sit down here beside you? Oh yeah, alright.
After rapping on Breaking Bad, Jesse earned his first Emmy nomination for playing Ed Blumquist.
What the? Hun?
A gee-golly shucks butcher who's convinced by his manipulative wife to cover up a hit-and-run turned murder in the second season of Fargo.
We have a life here, hun, a family. I'm gonna buy the shop.
Okay then.
Okay then.
Okay then. And we're gonna start a family.
We'll start again, I'm saying.
This was a nice turn for him because he wasn't the sociopath this time. That was Kirsten Dunst, whom he would eventually marry.
You want me to do it?
No, it's better me.
It was really kind of sad and heartbreaking to watch Ed have these dreams of a simple life with his wife that it all just turns into this twisted tale of lying to the police and being hunted by the mob, and there's a UFO in there too. I mean, all he just wants to do is settle down. Jesse would continue playing some morally ambiguous characters, ratting on Whitey Bulger in Black Mass, being complicit in the Lance Armstrong scandal in The Program, and starting in 2015, he started popping up in just these amazing Best Picture nominees. To date, he's been in 7 of them. He worked with Spielberg on Bridge of Spies and The Post, He narrated Vice and played the man whose heart would eventually be donated to Dick Cheney.
Forever changing the course of history for millions and millions of lives. And he did it like a ghost.
He played Jimmy Hoffa's stepson in The Irishman. He was part of the FBI trying to infiltrate the Black Panther Party in Judas and the Black Messiah, and he effortlessly overcame Ernest Burkhart's idiocy solving the Osage murders in Killers of the Flower Moon.
I want to talk to you about the murders of Rita and Bill Smith and Anna Brown.
But one of my personal favorites was his Oscar-nominated performance in The Power of the Dog. As a contrast to the overly masculine Phil, played by Benedict Cumberbatch, Jesse played George, a gentle, kind-hearted rancher who falls in love with Rose, a recent widow, played by Kirsten Dunst. Their chemistry is fantastic. I mean, at this point, they've been together in real life for a while, so I mean, it should be fantastic.
I want to say how nice it is not to be alone.
But this character, man, he just snuck up on me, especially with this scene where he and Rose spend a quiet moment together. I don't know, man, that just hit me. And this hug says more than a kiss could ever say. For their performances, Jesse and Kirsten were both nominated for Academy Awards. But it's also worth mentioning how funny Jesse can be.
All right? Fine, thank you. Though when sliding, my belt buckle may have inadvertently scratched the finish of my squad car.
Game Night is, of course, I think it's like the perfect example. He's not doing anything flashy here, but it's brilliant.
Where do I begin?
He's playing it dead on straight, this creepy, dramatic performance as a lonely police officer taking his recent divorce way too hard. It's all just razor sharp and works as a great contrast to everyone else.
Can I use your John real quick?
Of course. It's the end of the hall next to my bedroom.
Similar to Todd in Breaking Bad, it's a role that encapsulates Jesse's ability to just be ambiguous. Like, he's just hard to read. It's terrifying.
Still wearing the uniform.
But he's a good guy deep inside. In a 2019 interview for GQ, Jesse said this about Gary. He just so desperately wants to be wanted, and he can't help but come off as a creep. His insides don't match his outside, you know? I think an early draft of the script described him as being Michael Shannon-esque, and that definitely informed some of my choices. Jesse's aptitude for these kind of hard-to-read performances is probably why people have responded so much to his single scene in Alex Garland's Civil War.
What? Well, you're American, okay? Okay. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
It's enough that he's wearing fatigues, holding an assault rifle, and wearing those foreboding red sunglasses. Apparently there was another actor who was going to play this role, but when he wasn't available, at the last minute, Kirsten Dunst recommended Jesse. Completely by accident, Jesse fell into this bit part that was just perfect for him. Then again, on the other side of the coin, there's his subtle performance as Alan Gore in the miniseries Love and Death. Based on a true story, Elizabeth Olsen, who's amazing in this by the way, played Candy Montgomery, who pursues an affair with Alan.
I'm very attracted to you. I'm just tired of thinking about it, so I wanted to tell you that.
Oh. Those kinds of pauses and moments of silence are when Jesse is just doing some great work.
Okay.
He struggles with the temptation to reciprocate, catching her eyes at the church committee, sitting at work in front of his phone trying not to call her. He eventually gives in, but as the affair continues, he wants to slow things down and he begins to patch things up with his wife.
We've both been using each other to fill the gaps in our marriages, and that's not right. Right?
Then everything works out. No, it doesn't. It's all bad. It's really bad. It's based on a true story, and we don't need to get into all this. This is about Jesse. But I can't end this video without calling out another personal favorite of mine, and perhaps Jesse's most despicable character in the Black Mirror episode USS Callister. He played Robert Daly, a reclusive programmer for a Star Trek-esque MMORPG game who creates his own private server at home in which he's imported DNA from co-workers who have slighted him, and he lords over them as they go on Star Trek adventures.
Vanilla latte.
Skim milk at once.
And to keep them compliant, he tortures them, turns them into ungodly monsters.
No one dies in here unless I want them to.
And even clones his boss's son just to shoot him out of an airlock, and threatens to do it over and over and over again. God, at least Todd was kind of adorable.
That wasn't very nice.
And a cool thing about this USS Callister episode, apparently it's getting a little spin-off series. It's the first time that's happened with any Black Mirror episode. I mean, this episode is a fan favorite, so it kind of makes sense. Although the last we see of Jesse, he's like stuck in a private server of the game and he's just brain dead. So I don't know what's gonna happen, man. From misunderstood bullies to endearing psychopaths,
Illusion!
Jesse Plemons has spent his career giving a masterclass in less is more acting. It's fascinating to me how this soft-spoken, unassuming everyman has made such an impact with his work. A lesser actor might not be able to resist giving a bigger line read or performance in some of these roles, but Jesse's quiet demeanor, it stands out in a sea of noise. Maybe, subconsciously, that's the refreshing part to audiences. In a world where we're just constantly bombarded and overstimulated, Jesse Plemons reminds us that not everything needs to be turned up to an 11, and you can stand out from the crowd with silence.